Hi everyone, Andy Muir here, Mark Kearns, co-founders of Coach Logic. Hi Mark.
Hi guys.
So yes, we've done a refresh of the website, and there's a couple of really important messages that we just wanted to share. There's some new stuff, there's some old stuff that's been brought front and centre. Connect the Game is still there. We're real passionate about that, and the power of sport. For people to work together. Within the sport, we're talking coaches and players, match officials, but also the wider group around about that with regards to sort of general game development, supporting coaches and match officials and fans and parents and what have you being involved in the game. So that's really important to us as a company. But then what we want to move on is this sort of collaborative video analysis and kick off with why collaborative video analysis. I think importantly, like collaboration, ultimately that is the action of working with someone to produce something. And in this sort of world of sport where video is a hugely powerful learning asset, there's a lot that can be produced by collaborating. Now, whether that collaborative video analysis is a one-to-one collaboration, it's a one-to-many, a many-to-many, or a many-to-one, there's a huge amount of impact that can come from, as I say, that collaborative video analysis process. So Mark, I'm going to pull you in just now, just to give your thoughts around that too, please.
Yeah, so I would say I'd start with what the worst case scenario is if you do collaborative analysis, is that you'll find out what the players know. And I think that's really important when coaching. I don't think it's still really important for the coach to have knowledge about the game, but we all know as coaches that your impact on the game based on your knowledge of it is very minimal, because the players are then executing decisions. So it's about their knowledge of the game, and it's about your knowledge of their understanding of the game, so you can help improve that. And that's what coaching's about. So that's why collaborative video analysis is so important, that because you get a feel for what the players know, and you get to subtly help them understand the game better, which is far more impactful than improving your own knowledge.
Thanks, Mark. So just moving down, another thing we've kind of tried to put in place is to an extent it's a methodology. It's a real sort of high level methodology, but we'll dive into it in a little bit more detail here as well. And ultimately this has come from, well, it's come from a couple of places. We're really fortunate that we've got a great bunch of users innovating all the time and how they use Coach Logic. So there's an element of the sort of standing on the shoulders of giants. But we also go out and actively, speak to some real influencers in the coaching world as well, and take on that feedback and understand. We've got the ability to put that into the technology and that sort of methodology as well. So that's really important. And the first one we've got is, I'll go quickly through the three and then come back to the start. But we've got engage, discover, and then learn, which is ultimately the outcome, if you like, from the engaging the players and allowing the players to discover. So just quickly, as I say, we're going to go through these in a little bit more detail. First up is engage. So I guess with engage, the thing is that, for us, the days of one person, disappearing off into a dark room and analysing a match for 2 to 4 hours and then returning and telling everyone what they've learned, like those days are gone. We people are moving on from that, and we need to move on from that and keep moving on from that. And then when you put that into the context of our biggest user group within Coach Logic, which ultimately are the players, and even the coaches are working with those players, are Generation Z. They're born in the mid-90s, and ultimately Generation Z, they want to be content creators. They don't just want to be consumers of content. So we're moving away from that here. Here's what I've learned, you consume what I've learned. It's flipping that process, engaging them, and giving those players, those Generation Z users, the opportunity to create their own content. Mark, do you want to just sort of touch a little bit on that from your perspective as well?
Yeah, so from a practical standpoint, I don't have 2 hours to spend clipping all of the stuff, and I'm very aware that the impact of that is minimal. So not much return on my time invested, I guess. So for me, I get the players to do 5-minute chunks each. So there's 20 players in my squad. They each do 5 minutes of the timeline each, which total time is about 100 minutes, which is, relatively, that's pretty much game time for us with the camera going. And then they find the content within that 5 minutes. They find all the scrums, lineouts, because it's a rugby context for me, and that gets them engaged straight off the bat. But the other way to look at it is just to give them something to do quickly. So quickly publish the video, give them access to it, and ask them to find stuff. Just say go and find a couple of lineouts, or go and find a couple of penalty corners or free kicks or whatever, and share it with the rest of the group for discussion. So it can be done like formally, like the 5 minutes, or you could do it really informally and just ask them to find some stuff. But it's very important we get the players involved as quickly as possible.
Cool, thanks. And I think that segues really nicely onto the discover part. So just simply by engaging the players, they're going to start discovering. And we talk about, giving the players the opportunity to find the moments that matter to them. I think, as anyone who's obviously played sport will know that you inherently know moments of importance from the performance that you've either just been involved in, or you're 24 hours looking back that you've been involved in. You will know those. So actually giving the players to go and discover those, or rediscover, if you like, those key moments in the game, and bringing their own context is really important to give them the opportunity to discover. Mark, you see a fair bit of that within your world?
Yeah, totally. Even me, I'm just a millennial. You don't even sneak into the millennials, Andy, do you?
Yeah, okay. Move on.
But even me, when I was playing, I was burdened by things that generally went bad for me in a game, and they would build up over time. So if I can get quick access to the game, I can sleep better. I know that's a real simple thing, but I think it's important. So don't hold on to the video, give it to them, and then allow them to discover. So just on the discovery part as well, like we did a lot of research into Gen Z. We got a really good infographic that we can stick underneath this video, actually. And one of the couple of key points for me was that 80% would say that they use YouTube to become more knowledgeable about something. Okay, so they want to go and search and discover the answers themselves in that video format. So allow them to do that. And the other part is about feeling connected. So they 7 out of 10 said they felt more connected when they were discussing around the video. So again, allow them to share, find the answers themselves, and it'll be far more impactful than feeding them the information, which is kind of what we've done in the past as coaches.
Yeah, it's cool. I think that links back to that overall message that we stick with the engage and discover at the moment is of collaborative video analysis. So there's a very practical element of that, as with the example of give each player a 5-minute chunk or whatever time slot that might be, and allow them to go and do that. But there's also that massive upside, isn't there, of connecting people. So going back to that collaborative piece, whether, as I say, it's a one-to-one, a player to coach or coach to coach, or it's coaches working in groups, whether that's what you might term a leadership group or it's a positional group if it's a team sport, obviously. But having that connection, having that collaboration around about the process, but also the discovery, which I think leads really nicely so onto the learn element of it. So the learn part, I think we've looked at that. Actually, it's really an outcome from the engaging part and the discovery part. And I think really importantly, and Mark's touched on it already a little bit, but it's two-way. It's not just the players learning. It's a huge opportunity for anyone as a coach to learn as well by engaging their players and discovering what their players' views in the world are in that sort of the context of that sporting performance as well.
Yeah, sure. So the learning part has to come at the end. And I know that makes like total sense and seems obvious, but we sometimes force feed learning and we don't engage the players and they don't allow them to discover. We just send them something and expect them to engage. And we've had a lot of that. You can use Coach Logic in that way as well. You could just clip a bunch of stuff and send it out to the players and tell them what to do. Like the platform can be used in that way. But we've found that players don't engage. And if you don't capture that engagement right from the start and go through this process, they won't engage, and then they won't learn. So it has to come at the end of this process for us, which is, why we've done it in this way, and it's based on like 8 years worth of the platform being used and having some really awesome user success stories along the way.
Thanks, Mark. And then, just to finish up, we won't play the videos now, but it is that element of the Generation Z and what collaborative video analysis looks like for Generation Z player. And, Mark, you touched on a couple of those elements earlier around about the 80% of Generation Z will go to YouTube to learn. I think we've spoken of this before, but in our world, just take the word YouTube out and put in the word video. And that's the opportunity that they're being afforded in the way Coach Logic is set up. You mentioned about the 7-10, and an important one, which I know you really like, is is it 64 videos a day that Generation Z might engage in?
68, but yeah, totally, yeah. They're very small clips, obviously, rather than being sitting down watching an hour's worth of footage. Not 68 hours, not even 64 hours in a day. So we can't be expecting the players to watch long videos anymore. That's for sure. Just on this, Andy, before I head back to you, it's really important to pick your analysis solution or your platform based on what you think the players need, and that's what we want to show you is going, we're making this for the players, because ultimately that's going to help the coaches and the teams. But really understand what Generation Z need, and then choose based on that, not based on your own needs. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's a really good point to finish on. So thanks very much. Collaborative video analysis is it's the way forward. It's the future is now. And thanks very much for your time, and take care.
Cheers, guys.